One of the things I like to do Sunday mornings is bring on new faces and new voices to One Rental at a Time. And people reach out to me all the time at One Rental at a Time. And we've got a new voice today and a new face. Marty, man. Marty, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I'm good.
Well, do us a favor. Tell us who is Marty. Give us your resume, and then we'll just kind of get in and riff for a little while.
Okay, so Marty Hoffman, born and raised in Iowa, moved to Oklahoma where I started buying rentals. That was in 2010. I bought a duplex in 2012, and honestly, pretty much did it all wrong. I DIY'd the whole thing, and I was very Dave Ramsey mindset at the time. Very let's stay out of debt. I was out of debt at the time. And so I wanted to stay in that, and took me a long time. It took me 3 years to finish that house, but it was great cash flow. Similar to your story, Mike, when I was about 30, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, maybe 32-ish, and just turned my world upside down with realizing that realizing that debt was maybe the quicker solution to financial freedom. And I think Dave Ramsey has a good message out there, but
No,
to scale.
Yeah, I think Dave Ramsey's message is 7 steps. I think, frankly, it works for most people, and if most people
Yeah,
follow Ramsey, they'll be in a better spot. But if you're looking to build wealth with real estate, it's, in my opinion, not great advice, at least
yes,
from
yeah,
investment real estate.
very limited. And Robert Kiyosaki and Rich Dad Poor Dad really exposed that for me. And so 2018, I realized I could start the Burr. I didn't know what the Burr was at the time, but I started the Burr, and I realized with debt we could do. I was still DIYing it,
Okay.
and I could get into why I had freedom for that too in a little bit, but I could do about 3-4 houses a year. And then 2021 really came around. I partnered up with a guy, and we've just kind of blown it up since then. Maybe 50, 60 burrs. So it's a
Wow.
full-time rehab process, and single family houses, and property management, all that good stuff.
Very cool. So let's talk about those first couple, and then we'll get to the escalation point or
Sure.
acceleration point. I just want to make sure I understand this. So what were kind of the purchase prices in Oklahoma? I have no idea back then.
So I bought that first duplex for $5,000 off the MLS. And it was yeah, it was 2012, and
Right?
it was a gut job. I mean, it needed everything.
I would hope so.
So
I would hope so. Wow, 5 grand. So I mean, there was actually a structure there.
yes, yes,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
It was
It,
interesting that the lady was selling all three. She had three in a row,
mm,
and I was very limited in my mindset at the time, and so I just bought the cheapest one. But there was two others that were like 60,000 a pop,
oh,
that were
interesting.
rented. So
Okay.
I
So
could
the
have
okay. All right.
I could have been off to the races, but I
Right.
but I wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, Dave Ramsey would have been proud, right? 5 grand, you couple that together, you get in, and then it sounds like it takes you 3 years to DIY this, which means you were the labor, right? You were the
I
labor.
I was a labor. I had 5 kids, going on 6 kids at the time, and
That's a lot of kids, man. It's a
I was
lot of
just doing it
kids,
with cash. And I was
right? Of course, Dave Ramsey, cash.
yeah. At the time I
Okay,
was working doing HVAC job, making like 15 bucks an hour. So I wasn't even I
yeah,
was stretching the dollar.
yeah, good for you, and had I guess 7 mouths to feed, right? Five
Yeah.
kids going on six, you and your wife. That's a lot of mouths to feed on 15 bucks an hour. So I'm just gonna guess. Did it take 3 years? I'm gonna guess you got one of the units done before the other one. I'm guessing you tackled one first, or no? No,
I
you.
didn't. I did them in stages. I mean, I did all the
So you did the
drywall, all the
floor, you
wiring.
did the drywall.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So 3 years, you had this asset free and clear. You were doing, wow, 3 years. That's that's impressive
That's-
and slow.
yes. Yeah, not the
Yeah,
velocity of money.
no, no. I mean, so 5 grand. I mean, when you go back and look at those 3 years, mean, obviously your labor, we're going to put $0 on your labor, but just
Yeah.
supplies. Are we like in 40 grand or what was the rough and
Yeah,
tough number?
I was all in for 40. I was all in for just under 50 with the purchase price.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, so you get to the end of the finish line. You finally celebrate moving two tenants in. What was the rent at that point?
700 a door.
All
So
right,
it's
so you got
1,400.
all right. So how did it feel that first month of you actually having income after having just a
Yeah, it was
liability
great.
for 3 years?
It was great. It was, and it was because it was free and clear. It was a lot of money
Yeah,
because
sure. Yeah.
there was, and insurance was cheap and all that stuff. So it was great. But I mean, maybe there's a storyline behind property management because I was terrible at that too.
Yeah, so I could not. I don't have the mentality or aptitude or frankly interest in self management. I know lots of
Yeah.
people do, but yeah, it's tough. I mean, people lie to you, stories, um, just all of that headache. So you go from that duplex after 3 years. What was next?
So really, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, was
Okay,
the
so that
next.
that was the
Was
unlock. Okay.
that was the unlock, and from there, we because we had that duplex free and clear, we got a line of credit on it. So I went and honestly, Mike, it was interesting because I had my personal residence free and clear. I had no student debt. I had no debt at all. Um,
Right.
Similar to you, I've used credit cards, but never always paid
Never.
them
Yeah.
off. So
Mhm.
yeah. Um, but I went to the bank and I was honestly scared
Mm.
that I wouldn't get a loan. And I guess that would be probably another storyline to people is to realize that the banks love to lend money. And
Oh, the banks love to lend money on free and clear assets that produce cash flow. They're gonna. I think anybody could get 50%, no problem.
yeah,
Probably go to 70, 75% in most cases. So I'm gonna guess your equity line allowed you to take out all of your 50K if you wanted, plus some. I'm guessing that first line.
yeah, we pulled out $100,000. Um,
All right. Well, that feels pretty good.
yeah. And then I actually went online and bought a house via Hubzu,
Oh yeah,
which
I
is
remember that. Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
yeah. And it was a brick house. We bought it and we essentially did the burr on it. We bought it and then fixed it with that 100K
Okay.
and refinanced at the end, rented it out,
And
and
this was like 2015, 2016.
this is 2018.
Oh, 18 again. Okay, 18. Got it.
Yep.
Okay. So how long did that take? Your second one, right? You buy it cash, you fix it up, then you exit the burr. Was that less than a year or what was that?
Yeah, so that no, it took about 3 months.
Oh,
But
that's
that
good.
one
So yeah.
yeah, I hired I did a little bit of the work, but I hired a lot of it out. Um
Smart. Velocity of money. Yeah. Your labor's restrictive. Yeah. That's good. Okay.
yeah.
All right. And
And
then go ahead.
from there, honestly, while we were doing that one, I found a sheriff's sale.
Hmm.
So um, I kind of had a sharp learning curve with buying houses online, doing sheriff's sale, but that's where the discounted properties were at the time. And that one didn't hardly need anything. It needed HVAC system and paint. And I mean, it was like 30 days and we were off to the races. But I
Nice.
was learning the whole time about borrowing and leveraging people
Yeah.
and all that.
Yeah, I think Burr is one of those strategies that any new investor needs to understand and appreciate. I think there's lots of opportunities for it to fail. I also think there are times where Burrs are easy and times where Burr is hard. Like
Mhm.
doing Burrs today has got to be tough.
Mhm.
Limited supply, cost of capital, all that stuff. But I think real estate investing is one of those places where you just collect tools. The longer you go
Yeah.
on, because what works once won't work later, but time will turn around, it'll come back again. So I think Burr gets easier in the years to come. It's just a cycle. So that's cool. It sounds like then you finally you meet a I'll call it a partner. You tell us what
Yeah.
words you want to use. Kind of a money partner, it sounded like.
Well, what happened is I was going to church with a guy, and him and I would just talk real estate. And then it was, hey, what do you think of this deal? And then it was, hey, do you want to do this deal together? And that's just really how it happened. Because
Now,
he was still buying his own, and I was still buying my own, but we were friends. And then it just it just naturally merged.
Well, one of the things I see with partnerships, it kind of, because a lot of partnerships break up, right? Friends become not friends because of money and stress and all of that.
Mhm.
But one of the ways I've seen people, seemingly work is up front, they were very clear about roles and responsibilities. Talk about that. Talk about why you think yours worked.
I think mine works because we both have a attitude of giving back and outgiving the other person, and it's not necessarily a tit for tat.
Hmm.
I think partnerships get in trouble when it's a tit for tat
Right.
and it's a hey, I whatever, now it's your turn. And then there's bitterness. You know, bitterness is what ruins relationships.
Sure.
So I think a lot of it is just having that, we call it the DTS attitude, die to self.
Hmm.
Um, and if you can have that DTS attitude, then I mean, even in marriage, it just helps. You're not
Right.
trying to make it all fair all the time.
I like it.
So
I
I would
like
say
it.
that's probably the biggest thing is just being unselfish with it and not trying to keep score.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Again, yeah, that's where I've seen partnerships really break down when one feels the other's not carrying the weight or one's
Mhm.
taking advantage of the other. So you got to have conversations, communications. It just
Yeah,
has to be continuous, in my opinion.
yeah.
So that's pretty cool. So where do you sit today? What's the portfolio look like today?
You we've honestly got about 60 rentals, and then
Okay.
we've been doing some flips this year. We said, hey, interest rates are high,
Mm,
market's good. There's a shortage of houses. Let's do some
smart.
flips. Let's get some cash.
Yeah.
So that was our strategy this year. That honestly, Mike, to be honest, it hasn't been as easy as we thought.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
it we kind of thought, when we developed this last year that we would interest rates would drop a point and
Mm,
people would flood the market. So we misjudged that. We have maybe 7 or 8 houses on the market, 3 under
mm,
contract right now, but
okay.
that that has been a bit of a surprise. And I guess just to the point, real estate isn't always easy,
Yeah.
and time is
Yeah.
time is in your favor with real estate. That's why rentals,
Yeah. The
seem to be better.
longer you hold it, time really
Yeah.
cures all ills in real estate, the longer you can hold it. So yeah, let's talk about the price point then. I have no idea. What's the median price point in Oklahoma? I have no clue. Or your area, roughly?
Medium house price would be like 280
Oh, okay.
um
280.
in our area.
And then your
We
eight flips, are they below or above that?
there we have 1 or 2 above that, and those are the hard ones.
Mm,
And usually about anything in my market under 180 usually sells pretty quick.
just flies, yeah. This is the
Yeah.
bifurcated housing market. It's everywhere, man. I'm telling you. If you got something below the median, clean, pretty, FHA, VA,
Yeah.
done. You got something above the median, get ready to sit.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's happening everywhere, I think. So yeah, I would tell all my flippers. I got a lot of flippers on the show. Many of them didn't listen, and they're looking at six-figure losses again.
Mm.
Um, you guys got to watch the market. You got to understand where buyers are at. And I really do think the next 6 months now, 5.5 months are going to be really slow. We got this toxic political environment. We got consumer stretch. We got consumer sentiment going down. The only hope we have, if you are in flips right now, is rates come down. We saw a huge rate drop last week. It went to 6.85. I think it ticked down a touch more on Friday. We've got the Fed maybe now teeing up a September rate cut, which I think is too early. But hey, if you've got stuff listed, you're hoping for that. Um, yeah, you got to watch interest rates. Rates matter. Rates matter.
Yeah. Yeah. We're not overly concerned. Maybe not. Maybe that's we're not. We're just going to pivot. We'll just pivot into rentals on these if we need to.
Yeah, if you have
And
multiple exits and you can
yeah.
hold, you know, if I was sitting on a flip right now and I could hold it as a rental, I would
Hmm.
stick a tenant in there, get a year lease, wait for better
Yeah.
days. Is what I
Yeah.
would be doing because again, time heals all wounds. But again, and
Yeah.
more importantly, I would change my buying criteria. I would not
Sure.
touch an ARV above 280 is the
Yeah.
median. I probably wouldn't touch an ARV above 250,
Yeah.
right? And just
No,
buy
I
better.
I agree. And we lost money for the first time this year on one, and it was out of the buy box. Our emotions were attached. It was a little house in the country.
Oh
We
yeah.
thought everyone's going to love this because we loved
Oh,
it.
right.
And
Been
we
there.
sat and sat and sat, and we lost like $2,500. So not a huge loss,
Yeah. It could have been worse.
but we bought it wrong because our emotions were in there.
Yeah, yeah. Buy box, buy box, buy box, not emotion, right? Disrespectful offers. The other good thing is um I'm more excited as a buyer for the next 6 months because I
Yeah.
know there's a lot of people sitting on inventory. Some of them are just going to take it off the market and wait, right? Turn them into rentals. But there are some people out there. I mean, you could clear as day see it in the listings. Some flipper got hard money at
Yeah.
12% every month, grinding them. There's
Yeah.
going to be some deals to be had, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think those go to foreclosures with hard money lenders closing on them, or do you think that they just sell at a
They
discount and lose money?
Yeah, I think they sell at a discount, lose money. I think the foreclosure process is pretty long, drawn out. I think it's in everybody's best interest to take the L and move on. I think
Yeah.
that was the big because I saw a lot of people in 2010. I remember a guy in the Silicon Valley flipping $1 million properties. They're probably
Mm.
$2 million properties today. He was killing it. He was the man. And then on one house in Fremont, I think he didn't take a 50K loss. And
Oh,
that one decision destroyed him. He's now out of real estate. He's divorced, declared bankruptcy. Sometimes you got
because
to
it
take the quick
spiraled.
L. Yeah,
Yeah.
once you start, robbing Peter to pay Paul, and you start moving stuff around, you get that first negative mark on your credit. The sharks come out. Yeah, yeah. I think more people are smart and they'll just take the quick L, move on. I would tell people this is the time to buy better. You got to do disrespectful offers. You got to do all of that. So it's
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I want to talk about having 6 kids.
Okay.
Because my story's only one. Um, I mean, 6 kids, you really can't even play zone defense. I mean, they just simply outnumber you. What are the ages?
Right now it's 20-7.
Oh, okay. So you got some help. You got some people you could tap in. You can take the
Yeah.
20-year-old and say, "Hey, we need some help." Okay,
And
I like it.
I would say, yeah, you mentioned zone defense, and there's a place for that, but you can, if you train them right, the older ones can help with the younger ones.
Yeah,
And
that
so,
may, yeah. I was hoping you were going to say 6 under 10. That would be a
oh,
zoo.
no, no,
that would
no, I
be that
wasn't
would
quite
be
like
wild.
that. I felt like after three, it kind of leveled out with, I would say the first three were the hardest
Sure.
because they were young and they needed mom and dad, but
Right.
your older ones,
Yeah.
probably
Once
by
they
the
can
time
pitch
number
in.
four,
Yeah.
yeah, by the time number four came, the oldest was 8 or 9. So
You got
it
some
was,
help.
yeah, you have help. So
Yeah.
it's not as intimidating as you think.
Yeah. Very, very cool. That actually makes me feel better because all I was seeing in my head thinking 6 kids is like zoo, loud, chaos.
Oh, it can be loud.
I bet. I bet. The other thing I remember in your introductory email is you said you run a lot. Obviously, my audience knows I'm training for a marathon. I just did 34 miles last week. I'm kind of in week 2 of an 18-week program. Any advice? You ever done a marathon? Any advice or anything like that?
I did one 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
Um,
that counts.
yeah, yeah. I started running, Mike, about two years ago. I was just
Okay.
realizing I needed to do something, and I was honestly really achy. And I told my wife, I said, I feel like I'm getting old. But it's interesting, and you know this as you study ultra successful people, is something they start focusing on is their health.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I started, and I said, well, I'm not super self-disciplined. People might think that, but I signed up for a marathon 2 years ago because I knew it would make me exercise every day.
Oh, it's funny you say that. I remember evaluating 2023 feeling like a failure because I didn't do anything hard. I signed up for the Vegas Marathon the next day, and it's on
Mm,
November. I'm like, well, I'm already paid for this ticket, so I'm going.
yeah,
And if I don't train, I'm gonna die. So I might as well
exactly.
train.
Exactly. Yes. And that for me is why I did it, is because I knew the checks and balances. I knew it would kill me otherwise.
Exactly. It's
Um,
like Yeah, because I'm showing up. I don't waste money like that. I'm showing up and running. So yeah, it's pretty amazing. So how did it feel? You just ran it 2 weeks ago. How did it feel crossing the finish line? How was the body recovery? The next couple of
So,
days.
so yeah, rewind. The first one was rough,
Okay.
was really, really rough. And I would tell
Now,
you,
rough during or rough after, just so I'm clear. The first one.
well, you honestly, it's kind of like that first rental. You just don't know what you don't know.
Mm, okay.
And so, um, my advice to you would be to study as much as you can about it. And something I did wrong is I pushed too hard, I think, and that would be something I would advise you. Just, man, if you're
No,
just wanting to do that marathon, take
I'm
your
just gonna
time.
get through it.
Yeah, just
Here's my plan. Tell me about this. This is what I've already planned out. I'm gonna run the first 10 miles because I've done 10 miles, I don't
yeah,
know, 100 times in my life. So 10 miles is not hard. And then
yeah.
what I'm going to do at the 10-mile mark is I'm going to turn on basically a Tabata. I'm going to run a minute, walk 30
Okay.
seconds. And I'm just going to do that for the next 16 miles. How does that feel off the top of your head?
So my wife is training right now, and she's actually doing run for 4, walk for 2,
Okay.
which would be similar to what you're
Roughly
doing.
the same. Yeah, roughly the same.
Yeah, and I might advise you to stretch that out more than a minute because that's going to go
Okay.
really quick.
Yeah.
That 1 minute run.
Okay.
So,
So like double it. What are you thinking?
well, I kind of like hers of run for 4, walk for 2. It's
Oh, you're
almost the
talking
same.
you're talking minutes, four
Talking
minutes.
minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The first time you said that, I'm thinking like run 4 miles, walk 2 miles, but okay.
No, no.
Run four, walk two. Okay. I'll play with that. I'll see how my body
Or
feels.
were you, Mike? Were you gonna run one, walk half? Is that what you were saying?
No, I was doing 1 minute, like just a
Okay.
simple
Yeah.
1 minute, 30 seconds. So maybe stretch the one out to 3 or 4 minutes and then walk like I'm doing, like if you do four, walk two, right? Just get that
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Yeah.
split.
It's almost the same formula.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
It
what I'm
just,
thinking. I'm not trying to push it. I'm not trying to go, I'm not gonna
yeah.
I've done 3 or 4 halves. I've done two
Yeah.
nonstop. I did one sub 2 hours. I'm not getting anywhere close to that. I'm just
Yeah.
finishing the damn thing.
Just enjoy it. Pull out your phone, take some video,
Yeah.
maybe go live for us, so we
See
can
me
all
suffer.
watch. But that Mike,
Oh, it's
that will
funny.
get you through it so much better by sharing
Mm.
the experience. Um,
Yeah, I had not thought about that.
mhm.
But that's an interesting. Yeah, because one thing I've
Because it
thought
takes
about
it off
maybe
of you.
yeah, I might actually turn the camera on at a half because I've done a half before.
Yeah.
I've never ran 14. I've only done 13-1. So maybe pull it out at the 14 mark going, okay, there's a new
I'm,
experience.
I'm doing it. Yeah, yeah. And then at 20.
And then at 20, that would, yeah, because I think
And
my
then
training takes me to 20. I think 20 is the longest run in the training,
yeah.
I think. Yeah. It's gonna be so okay. The first one was rough. Again, you pushed too hard. So let's talk about that first race. So
Okay.
so just run it down for me in your as you remembered.
So it's called Route 66. It's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And it was cold. It was like 22 degrees that morning.
Ooh.
So it was hard to know how to prepare. Uh, I ran with a guy who has done a lot, and that was maybe one of my mistakes. Um, but so like I said, I didn't know what I didn't know, and
Right.
so I started off way too fast. Um, Honestly, my first half of that's probably one of the fastest halves I've ever ran. So, so,
Okay. All right.
so it wasn't good at mile 18. And I've done 5 or 6 marathons, and I always struggle between mile 18 and say 22,
Oh, okay.
where
That's something to
it
know.
just it just mentally seems like so much is left,
Got it.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course it does. You got more than a 10K left. Yeah.
Yeah. And you'll know, Mike, when you're doing your training and you do those 18 weeks, 18-mile
Yeah.
week, and then
Yeah.
you'll do a 20. You'll
Yep.
get to 18 miles, at least I do, and I think, oh, there's only 2 left. But when you're
Right.
running a marathon and it's 8 left, it's like
Oh my.
so big.
All right. So that's something to know. Mental note. Thank you. I think that's valuable. All right. So you get to the end of the run that first time. How you feeling? Endorphins? Were you just wrecked? What was that like?
Yeah, I was wrecked. I didn't drink enough. It was too cold, so I didn't need a drink. Legs were cramping up. I mean,
Mm. It was ugly. Yeah.
it was ugly.
Okay. All right. So
But
did
kind of
you, what was the, I mean, what was the intake? Was it water, electrolytes, the goos? I mean, did you feed yourself? Did you feed the body?
I did, but see, I didn't right away, and I got behind. I got
Uh,
depleted.
okay.
And the other thing I didn't realize about it very much, because I was brand new to running,
Yeah.
but I didn't realize about putting stuff in your body, banking it
Mm.
prior to,
Right.
and you can really overhydrate the day before, and it actually helps carry you through too. So,
Okay. Yeah. I got to
we
research
talk
all
about
of that. Yeah.
yeah, we talk about carb loading, but people don't talk about hydration. But
Water.
you should
Right.
hydrate heavy too.
Okay. Because it's really funny. I think I've done 3 or 4 halves, and I've done one half without ever drinking, but
Mm,
that's not going to be, you can't do that on a
no,
marathon,
you
I'm guessing.
can't. You
Yeah.
can't because you can deplete your system, but for a half, for two
Right.
hours.
Right. It's too,
But to go the
exactly.
next 2 or 3 hours, it's all
Not good.
gone. And
Yeah.
that's why you gotta be.
Yeah.
And the
So
other thing
yep. Go ahead.
your thing one house at a time, one rental at a time. I would say with a marathon, it's 1 mile at a time.
Yeah. That's where I'm trying
So
to get to. Yeah.
don't
Right.
just
Yep.
just break it down to that when you're feeling defeated. It's one more mile.
Yeah. I'm really going to get behind this run 10 because I think I can run 10
Yeah.
uninterrupted. And then I'm just going to turn it into a Tabata. Is it run 4, walk 2? I mean, it's just because I want to make it a minute schedule where it's just, and
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sprint these, right? I'm not gonna exhaust it.
No, just enjoy
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm doing.
it.
Yeah. So, any closing advice for new real estate investors? And we'll get into new marathon runners. We'll do real estate investors first. What's your advice for real estate investors getting started today?
Yeah, watch your numbers. But also don't get defeated. Don't get analysis paralysis. Anyone can do it. There are deals out there,
Yep.
and it's really not it's it's really not that hard. I mean,
Yeah.
it is hard. It's hard to do the hard thing. You started in early 2000s, Mike. There wasn't, I mean, how much information was there then? There wasn't much, right?
No, there wasn't. I mean, it was, yeah, it's a totally different game. Um, than it is today, right? I got my knowledge from reading physical books where there really wasn't an internet per se.
Yeah.
There certainly wasn't groups and online
Yeah.
meetups and things of that nature. So yeah, vastly different.
So that's what I feel like it's a lot easier today than it used to be because we have information, but don't get information overload where you get analysis paralysis.
Totally
Don't be
agree.
afraid to fail. You're going to fail, you're going to mess up, but just make sure you don't mess up too bad.
Exactly, exactly. And then we'll close on this. Health is wealth. I think you're right. A lot of the
Yes.
successful people I know really have taken their health seriously. What's advice for maybe beginning runners? What would you tell somebody that's just looking at running, get the body moving?
Yeah, just get out there and do it and sign up for something, even if it's a 5K or a 10K,
Yeah, 5K is
even if
great.
you even yeah, compound effect in that book he talks about getting somebody started running and she had to walk the first block.
Yep.
And if that's where you got to start, that's where you got to start. But go out and do
Yeah,
something.
totally agree. Yeah,
Movement
I
is
mean, if
medicine. So
you're, yeah, if you need some help, even if it's just get outside, get some vitamin D, and walk 10,000 steps. Let's just get the body
yes,
moving, folks. Yeah, it's very
yes.
cool. Well, Marty, is there a place people can follow you and see what's what on social media? Do you have anything like that?
On Instagram, I'm the intentional investor, so they can
Love
follow
that.
me there and just trying to be more
Intentional
intentional
investor.
with what we do. Yep.
Cool, man. Marty, I appreciate you. Thanks for the conversation and the advice
Yeah.
on making the marathon fun. Thanks, buddy.